Welcome back, y'all. It's Trent on the Loose. In fact, today we're just going to continue with the discussion that started on Friday. Marley Hornick is the CEO of the United Sovereign Americans and is leading the path when it comes to election integrity. I don't want to say anything more about it. I just want to get to Marley and have her give us a clear path on how we can fix the fundamental principle behind freedom. If you as an American citizen cannot elect the officials who represent you, we're broken. We have to fix this, and we have to fix it now. Marley Hornick standing by. Trent on the Loose. More after this. Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that. But you need something else, a service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com. Welcome back, y'all. It's Trent on the Loose here with us once again today. How was your weekend, Marley?
It was glorious. Thank you.
Did you get a lot done in the garden? Did you get the garden planted? It's time to plant the garden.
Right now, my focus is on saving the United States of America, and the garden has to wait, unfortunately.
Do you remember that person at the beginning of our conversation who was telling me that if you don't have food, you can't do anything? You better make sure you have a supply of food, Marley.
Yes, thank you. We do keep a supply on hand.
That's what you need, is me telling you how to prioritize your day. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. United Sovereign Americans continuing to seek the truth. I got to tell you, I've spent a lot of time on property rights. I've spent a lot of time on every other issue, animal rights and fighting the animal rights groups, which, by the way, the same money all comes from the same pots and the oligarchs of the world trying to control not only our elections, but our access to food and giving animals emotions. But the truth of the matter is that I am 100% convicted that if we do not fix this election, none of the rest of it matters. And I'll just quote, the great philosopher, his name was Joseph Stalin, who said, I don't care who votes. All I care is who counts the votes. And that really is, at the end of the day, what we're talking about.
Yes, and United Sovereign Americans has been working for years now, or myself and Harry working together for years to understand the mechanism by which we fix that before the 2024 election. And a lot of people are very disheartened. They feel that litigation doesn't work because we watched challenge after challenge to the election outcome in 2020 fail and be denied standing. The reality is, it's very difficult to challenge the outcome of any election once it's been administered. It's a very, very high bar of evidence in court. And it's frustrating as it is, it actually makes sense because the people of the several states are supposed to choose the representatives, and putting a judge in that position over and above the American people is improper. It's unconstitutional. So there has to be very, very compelling evidence that the election was improperly administered. Now, there was in 2020, but what happened? In 2000,
Marley,
in the year
I'm sorry to
2000,
interrupt
yeah,
you.
go ahead.
Hold on. There is nothing that has been said about the challenges in lawsuits that's more profound than what you just said. And you made me even think about it in a way that I had not thought about it previously. Because if it was easy to overturn through the judicial system, the people with the largest checkbook hiring the most attorneys would just have their will of the way instead of the will of the people.
Mhm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to prove to a judge that an election was so broken that it should not be certified.
That's awesome. Okay, now I think
However, yeah,
however,
what I want to say about it is there's another aspect of that, which is that elections, the way that elections are designed to operate is supposed to prevent them from ever ending up in court. So let's just take that back. An election is a zero trust system by definition. You have two natural adversaries, and they have no reason to trust each other, and they have plenty of reason not to trust each other, right? So how is it that we ever accept an election outcome? Every step of the process of administering voter registration, accepting ballots, counting ballots, storage of ballots, and the final certified results. Every step of that process is an administrative procedure that is defined by law. So what happens is the election officials walk this tightrope between the adversaries. And the tightrope is the laws. If they step off that tightrope for any reason, there's only one reason that they did it, ultimately, because they've destroyed continuity of governance. They've destroyed trust in the electoral process. They've destroyed trust in our democratic system. When they do that, when they step off the tightrope, that's the consequence. You can't get around it. That's why from 1888, the Supreme Court ruled election officials who don't follow the law, that's criminal intent. That's what that means. If they don't follow the law, that constitutes election fraud on its face. You don't have to prove that they did it for some bad reason or that they intended to affect the outcome of this race or the other race. Maybe they only intended to affect one race, but they've now affected all of them. And the system is broken. So in Bush v. Gore in 2000, that did not start as a challenge to the outcome of the election. It was a challenge to the election procedure, the administrative process of counting the hanging chads was called out that they were not doing this properly. The judge agreed. They had to go back and count all those ballots again. And lo and behold, they had to overturn the election. But it didn't start out as a challenge to the outcome. What they challenged was the way the election administrators were operating. It looked suspicious. It didn't follow the law.
but I agree with you 100%. Not that I would argue, but it just seemed to me like that was a challenge to how it was done so that we would move into HAVA and have complete control in every county with the voting machine and throw billions of dollars of my tax, your and my taxpayer dollar at doing it.
Well, that's possible. And I unfortunately do not have a time machine or a clock to set us back on a different path. And all I can say is that right now there are elements of HAVA that are helpful for a litigation strategy that challenges election misconduct based on these broken voting systems. Okay, here's another example. In Ohio's 2022 midterm, Ohio, a deep red state, they had an 18% voting error rate. Remember, the federal accuracy requirement is no more than 0.0008% error in that election. Otherwise, you can't be certain that it wasn't affected by fraud.
Marley, there is nothing in our life today where you can be wrong 18% of the time and be acceptable. You can't be wrong 1.8% of the time in an election and be acceptable.
Yeah, if you have an 18% error rate on your IRS filing, is that acceptable or is that perjury?
It'll be jail time for me.
Mm-hmm.
These numbers are just mind-boggling.
They have no idea in Ohio, again, just like
Mhm.
New York, in Ohio, in Illinois, in California, in all of the states where we're running these audits, it's prima facie. They have no idea who actually won these elections. And they certified them as accurate, meaning that they accurately reflect the intent of the voters individually and collectively. That's what accurate means in an election. It doesn't mean, that A plus B equals C. It means we have accurately and correctly measured the intent of eligible citizen voters who chose to participate in this election. That's a lie.
Yeah.
And that's where United Sovereign Americans is building this litigation strategy to challenge all of these states. And what we hope to do by challenging in federal court, what we seek to do and what we believe will happen is that the matter will end up getting diversity of opinion across federal circuits. That some states, we know New York, California. I mean, I strongly suspect, let's say, I don't know, but I strongly suspect it's going to be hard to get a correct ruling in those states. But Tennessee, Missouri, Texas, and other states, there's a much higher probability of getting a yes. And what happens when you have disagreement on the same matter between federal circuits is it's immediately forced to the United States Supreme Court, which is where this issue belongs, because it is only really the Supreme Court that can rule on a matter regarding suffrage at this level. The question is not, are the voting systems good enough? Question is, how come the control point before registration for validating an applicant's eligibility requirements and citizenship requirements, how come that control point has been destroyed? It's not operational. That is a civil rights abridgment of Article 1, Section 2. This belongs in the Supreme Court.
I sense that you have more faith in the judicial branch than I do in 2024.
I sense that this argument is so simple and so clear, and it strikes right at the heart of our fundamental system of governance. Again, if you don't have government by consent, provably, you don't have America. Marbury v. Madison, 1803, a right without a remedy is not a right. So it doesn't matter if we have the right to vote. We also need the right to verify and validate that that vote was accurate in terms of reflecting our certainty, our decision-making power about our representatives. And if that right is being denied or abridged in any way, it is an instant constitutional matter. It is an instant crisis. And even their own laws, the progressive laws, outline this. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, which is a good law, and it was designed to make sure that people of all races, in a time of extreme racial contention, people of all races had their vote protected. It also says, if you believe your right to vote has been or is about to be denied or abridged in any way, you have to stop that from happening. You can't let it get certified. You have to file a temporary restraining order or a permanent restraining order, an injunction against the use of or against the denial of your vote. And in this case, we're saying the use of the voting system because we measured it. This is something that United Sovereign Americans were the only people who have done this. We measured the effect of a voting system based on honor. And it's a train wreck.
Marley Hornick, we have to take a break. We'll be back with the final segment. Trent on the Loose after this.
People get sick for two reasons and two reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO number 2 letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our living cultural center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Welcome back, Trent on the Loose. Marley Hornick joining us here into our final segment as we try to find these solutions. Let's just say, what if, Marley, that the Supreme Court, if it makes it to the Supreme Court rules in favor of you, United Sovereign Americans, what would happen? What would happen next?
Well, the first thing that they would be likely to do is to demand, just as the United States citizens are demanding, we have an accurate and valid election process, which means a couple of things. It means that there has to be controls in place about who is given the opportunity to vote. They have to be provably eligible and they have to be provably U.S. citizens. And there are standards in place to measure both of those already. They're just not being used. They're not being used in the most important democratic function in our country. They're being used, when did you get to take a photocopy of an electric bill, fly, back into the United States of America? Let's say even you get on a plane and they let you leave. When are they going to let you back in the country with a photocopy of your electric bill? They're not. It's inane. So that's the first control point that we need to put our line in the sand and say, these are the people who are owner stakeholders of this country. These are the people who get ballots, period. and you have to be able to prove it. That's the first point. Now, if you truly are a US citizen and you can't prove it, we can find solutions for those 10,000 people. But we're not going to abridge the right to vote of 330 million people, or abridge the right to be governed by consent of the entire country based on a couple edge cases. It doesn't make any sense anymore. We're done. The next stage is the ballots, right? How can ballots be received and counted? There has to be, no matter what system they want to use, there has to be a provable chain of custody from the voter's hand to the tabulated count, whatever the tabulation system is, whether it's a machine or hand counted. There's different ways that this can be done, but it has to be provable. That's the thing. You can prove to a degree mail in, chain of custody, but it presents a lot of openings for fraud. So it's not advisable for sure. There has to be documentation from the voter's hand, that eligible citizen voter's hand, to the count, and then to the locked storage, right, for ballot storage, and the final storage system of everything, so that if there's ever a question, we can access that information. Right now they don't want to give you access. They want to cut away your access. No, you can't see the ballots because why? Because you might find out that we screwed up.
Right.
Okay. So those are two control points. And I believe that it's clear as day in the law that these have to be upheld. And I believe the Supreme Court would rule that the states have to uphold these principles. Eligibility and citizen, provable chain of custody, provable oversight of the counting process, including, video security, everything. We have to be able to see every step of this process, because right now there's so little trust in the system, and it's warranted, that lack of trust.
So Marley,
And then-
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I want you to finish your thought, and then I got another question.
Well, basically what the Supreme Court would end up ruling, if they agree with what we've demonstrated, and I think it's very hard to argue with, is that they just have to follow the law. Just like 1888, just like Coy said, if an election official varies from the law, that's intent. They have to follow the law. And I know you're not wild about HAVA. I'm not wild about HAVA either. But if they were following it, we wouldn't be dealing with these problems. And interestingly, the Help America Vote Act, because Obama made our election systems critical national infrastructure, actually the most stringent cybersecurity laws in our country now govern every aspect of those systems. And I don't know that it's possible for a state to come into compliance between now and November 2024, actually, because those laws would preclude their ability to meet a actual standard of legal compliance in time.
I agree with you. I don't think they can make it happen. But I'm not trying to diminish anybody's enthusiasm, and I still think that hand counting can make it happen by the general election this fall.
We could definitely do that by November, right?
Right. There's no doubt about it. So
I have two of them right here.
What I'm figuring, and they're easily trained. So what I'm hearing from you is that you spent a tremendous amount of time on the authenticity of the votes that are counted. I don't doubt, because we found a place in Lawrence. We didn't. There were a couple of young ladies canvassing Lawrence County, South Dakota. They found one address with 1,200 votes submitted. Obviously, that's a problem in a county that has 25,000 total people, not voters, people. And if you look at the data and you really study it, like so many people like Sean Smith, who just went through and looked at the data on the other side, and the algorithms have definitely been manipulated, because the margin of winning is like identical for each demographic. And that doesn't happen with the demographic of my daughters at 21 to 25, and me and my wife at 57. There's going to be some variation. And it's clear to me that the software systems, particularly the Microsoft Azure cloud, have been involved in altering this data through the algorithms. And yet you've spent all of the time talking about the authenticity of the votes that are being counted into the system. Where do you put all of the transfer of information from that little jump drive that we take from the tabulator, put it in a laptop, put it on a cloud, and send it to Secretary of State? How much do you think the manipulation has occurred from the computer at the county clerk's office to the Secretary of State's office?
Actually, and you might want to, argue with me about this, but it actually doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why. United Sovereign Americans has constructed a set of arguments that are very simple to understand, and they demonstrate that the voting system is broken. The first question we ask in every state, were the voter rolls accurate, which is a requirement of federal law?
Mm-hmm.
The
We're in
second
complete
question,
agreement on that one, by the way.
were the votes counted from qualified citizen voters? The third question, did the number of votes counted equal the number of voters who voted? And the fourth question, was the federal accuracy requirement honored and upheld? If those four questions you get a no, you don't have a valid election. And it doesn't matter where in the process it's broken. What we've done is we've actually measured the accuracy. We've measured, if you buy a car, Trent, a brand new car, a nice one, shiny, and all of a sudden, as soon as you get that car, it's in the shop all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that car?
A lemon.
A lemon. If you buy a voting system, and the only thing that voting system has to do is accurately and provably record votes from eligible citizen voters and produce an accurate and trustworthy result, and it can't do it, that voting system is a lemon. And I don't care where in the process it's broken. I don't care, because what we need is a voting system that produces an accurate, transparent, trustworthy result.
I was just going to ask you, for those paying attention in any state USA, what do you want them to do? Contact you, go to the website? What do you want them to do?
Our website is unite4freedom.com, unite4freedom.com. This is a completely volunteer organization. I'm a volunteer as a CEO. Harry's a volunteer as a chairman. Everybody's volunteering, and we have initiatives in many states and more states added. We do citizen advocacy work, we do citizen education work, and we fundraise for litigation, and we prepare data and evidence for litigation. And that's our mission. And we plan to achieve this adjudication process at the Supreme Court before 2024.
Marley, every single day I thank veterans of this nation for their service to the freedom of future generations. I'm putting you in the same category. Thank you for your dutiful service to this nation to make sure the Constitution is upheld in the most important place possible, free and fair elections. And we will partner together to make it happen.
Thank you, Trent. That's very touching. I really appreciate it. And I must say, we have thousands and thousands of volunteers, and we can't do it. No one can do this alone. It takes all of us. It really does. So everyone who wants to have a role, you are welcome and invited. And if you don't have the opportunity to contribute your time right now, please contribute whatever you can afford to make sure that these lawsuits go forward.
God bless the veterans and the farmers who feed.
Look, so see these cows here, Trent?
Hello, everyone. I'm Trent Loos. Welcome to another Live Across the Pond with my pontification partner, Andrew Henderson. Good late morning, UK.
Good early morning, USA. How are you this morning? And what's happening with you today, Trent? Any farming news to tell me about?
Any farming news?
No. Anything you know? Anything you picked up on the grapevine?
I picked up a lot on the grapevine, Oregon is working hard at getting rid of all farmers. I read through their new CAFO rules this morning, concentrated animal feeding rules, and there is no specification on the number of animals, only the type of surface the animals are on. And they have new regulations in water use. In fact, 24 people have been sent a letter. That was as of 1 week ago. 24 people have been sent a letter telling them they can no longer irrigate their garden.
Oh, well, have you got water shortages in Oregon already?
It's illegal to capture your own rainwater in the state of Oregon and Colorado, because Oregon and Colorado say that the water belongs to the people, not the people, not whose property it's on.
So hang on. So what you could do there then, if you were very clever, is that you could have your neighbor's water and they could have your water, and then everybody'd be happy, wouldn't they?
No, water is water. Oregon says that water is owned by the people, not by individuals. So consequently, you can't capture anybody's water. It's amazing you can even use water. And what I'm sure they're leading up to is that you have to pay for every bit of water you drink.
Oh, only in America, Trent. Only in America.
I agree.
That's all
100%.
I can say.
This is the same state that participated in taking down the Klamath River irrigation system, the dams, because the fish who survived 100 years with the dams there are in peril if we don't take them out. So we spent $365 million in the last 6 months tearing them out.
I have to admit, very similar things are happening in Wales. It's almost like they're trying to starve everybody, Trent. Have you sort of got that picture?
I have it loud and clear, louder than ever before. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
So, what is mankind going to do about it? Backroom boys, can I have the picture up, please? Now, Trent, who and what is that? Do you know?
That is a Nelore cow that should be in Brazil.
That's right. But where was it? And what's so special about it?
Well, it's got humping ears. It exists on less water and it fights insects by itself.
Pretty good. It's the most expensive cow in the world as of today. Well, 5 days ago. Have a guess what it sold for.
I doubt that's a true statement that you just made.
Well, it sold for $4.8 million.
It is maybe a true statement, because last week at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, a steer sold for $1 million.
No, this went for $4.8 million.
Why? Why?
And everything. Well, the Nelore doesn't actually originate from Brazil, although obviously
Africa.
No, India actually.
India.
A village in India. Yeah, and you are on the money, so to speak. But there's something more about that animal that's in. It thrives on poor forage.
Right.
Now, maybe that's a little indication of where the world thinks this breed is going. Don't you think? It's a bit scary that now becomes the most valuable cow in the world.
No, there's something else going on.
Oh, what's that then?
No, I don't know. But there's more to the story. It's not that they see this cow is going to save mankind. There's something they're putting this cow in embryo plants.
No. The opposite. The opposite. You're not critically thinking it like I expected you to. We're not going to be. That cow is going to live on land that we can't cultivate properly. That's the sort of cow they want us to have in the future. That's my bet. It's the opposite of what you're thinking. They want a sort of a cow that lives on poor pasture. No,
not at all. In no way, shape, or form does a cow bring $4.8 million because it lives on subpar cellulose material. It brings $4.8 million because people want to tie into the genetics for some genetic breeding program, not because every cow can live on that. Some are better than others.
Well, apparently its feed conversion rates are very, very high on poor forage, and that's what
That's what makes them tremendously valuable, but we don't really want them in our U.S. beef supply because the beef is just not the best. It's not tender, and it's not of a favorable desire. In fact, they are. If a cow comes through,
people watching this will see where I'm coming from, and they'll see where you're coming from. But I don't think you can see where I'm coming from. It makes
no, I
sense.
just don't agree with you. I see what you're trying to get at, but that's not the case.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's agree to disagree. I think it's very concerning that the world's most expensive breed is something that can live off scraps. I don't think that
did she
bodes
sell
well.
Did she sell in Brazil?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
so she'll be eating grass from deforested Amazon rainforest. That's cool.
You're starting to get the picture. But then you see, it's just ridiculous how things are happening that just don't make any sense. Surely the best tasting beef with the highest feed conversion rates that can convert really high quality forage would be the way that you would be investing in the world's future animals in order to feed the planet. It doesn't really line up that you would start investing in an animal that converts the poorest forage that doesn't taste great. Doesn't seem to add up to me, that, but you're happy.
Okay.
I'm not.
Can we see the picture again? Because I want everybody to look at this cow. This is not a cow. I mean, I've owned a couple. And this is not a cow that was out foraging, looking for its last bit of black sage in the Nevada desert to eat. This is a cow that has had a tremendous amount of Brazilian corn and soybeans fed to it to keep it looking fat and slick like that.
Trent, am I detecting that you've got the hump here? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I do have the hump. And the ears. which is about a $15 a hundred discount if they go through the U.S. sale barns, if they have an ears and a hump. And that's much to the dismay of the Brahman breeders, because we do not have Nelore cattle.
What's wrong with the hump? What's wrong with the hump?
Because it correlates to tougher. I'm not going to call it inferior, because I have Brahman breeders who are going nuts right now with me even having this conversation, but I'm giving you general perceptions of what is taking place in the real beef industry in the United States. But don't tell me that cow is bringing 4.8 million because she survives on eating a twig, because she's eating a lot of soybeans and corn.
No, but it's because of her genetics, Trent. And also, to be fair, you're saying that she resembles a camel in some ways. Is that what you're indicating, that they can store food like a camel in the hump? Is that what that hump does, or are you just...
No, the hump actually tastes pretty good. I've had hump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't store water.
What is it? Fat?
Well, it's fat and muscle. It's kind of like brisket, actually.
Oh, right, okay. Well, you see, I'm glad I put that picture up, because you've educated me on that animal in a way I never thought you were going to. So I'll give you credit for that. Nothing else.
Well, it's just that you went to my true bailiwick, which is genetics. I just wish I would have been I am a geneticist. I just don't have any formal training. My training came in screwing up and matings. Because you get educated well when you screw up. But the cattle, anyway. I don't want to poo-poo the cattle, because much of what you're bringing to the forefront is very relevant. The benefit of that breed of cattle, along with Brahman, is that you don't need to use Ivermectin. You don't need to use fly insecticide things, because they're very resistant to insects. And so back in the day, they used them in Texas and Florida and Mississippi, which I spoke to the Brahman breeders in Florida a year ago. And they're doing a great job raising these cattle. But the ears and the hump help in minimizing impact of the insect, which is of great value.
You're not sponsored by the Brahman Society, are you? Because you've mentioned them about 9 times in the last 2 minutes. I mean,
well, Brahmins and Nelores are cousins.
All right, okay.
And it's a big
Are they?
part of our southern U.S. cattle industry, despite the Angus people of the world not wanting them to exist. But we all coexist, which is actually going to be the theme for the second segment of this program, because everybody offers something different to the bigger picture. Brahman cattle,
Well,
Brahman
actually,
influence. It could be Brangus or Brayford or what's the Lassiter breed? It escapes me at this moment. Santa Gertrudis. All of these offer a tremendous opportunity in the right environment.
I must admit, it reminded me of a pure, bright Piedmontese cattle without the hump. Actually,
it is the farthest thing you can get from a Piedmontese in on earth.
Hey, it's personal view here.
No,
seen
not at
bright
all. We'll be back.
Piedmontese.
Second half across the pond. I'm going to get details on this cow more after this.
This whole idea that you hear on university campuses in this country about Palestine must be free. Really? Yeah. Gaza must be free. Gaza it was in fact free. Israel pulled out of Gaza. There are zero number of Israelis or Jews living in Gaza, right, since 2006. And what has happened? It is basically, it is being run as a terrorist state.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our Living Cultural Center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that, but you need something else. A service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com.
Look, so see these cows here, Trent.
Welcome back. Trent Loos alongside Andrew Henderson. So a bit of embellishment. The cow did not bring 4.8 million, Andrew.
Go on. Tell them what I know.
They
that,
sold
tell them
a
why.
quarter interest
Only a
in the cow, which that means they'll be flushing this cow with flushing her for embryos. And the quarter interest brought 1.44 million.
So times that by 4 gets to nearly 4. They valued it at 4.8 million, didn't they?
They did, because in case she dies, that's what somebody will collect.
So I was honest about that with you in the break. You know I was. I told you that in the
absolutely.
break. But at the end of the day, that the headline figure is a cow is now, that is the world record cow at
Right.
value, probably for insurance purposes, at 4.8 million.
And I found 2 articles that said she's coming to the United States, but nowhere did I find who actually purchased her, which is intriguing because we don't have Nelore cattle in the United States.
Well, you know what? It's probably coming across your border as we speak.
Yeah, probably. Given a green card.
Brazilian, a telephone, somewhere to live, and probably $2,300 a month to make sure she's happy in poor quality forage. There you
go. Luke, if you're ready for this, here, what I do know about this Nelore cow, she is not going to survive in this environment you're about to see with this video right here, Andrew.
Hey, y'all, it's Trent on the Loos. Here we are with a March 25 storm. March is going to come in, or it came in like a lamb. It's going to leave like a lion. You know, there's several things to talk about in this moment. Well, you know what we say, it's just good moisture. Well, if the wind wasn't blowing 30 miles an hour and all that moisture blowing to Kansas, it'd be a lot better. I'll tell you that right now. And the other thing I'll tell you, most common question of the day is, Trent, how do you keep your hat on when the wind's blowing like this? Well, I have a stampede string, but I do the smart thing. I leave it in the house. I wear one that keeps me warmer. God bless. Hey, by the way, if you have electricity today, you might want to say thank you to all those fossil fuel people who keep your lights on and your house warm. Just say, and your water running. Hey, try it without a little running water. Below zero wind chills tonight in central Nebraska. Everybody stay safe. God bless the veterans and the farmers who feed us. Got critters to tend to. Kelly's got the evening off.
Won't be any Nelore cows in central Nebraska.
Well, no, why do they not like cold weather?
No, they don't like cold weather. The Bos Indicus breed of cattle, or family of cattle, are hot weather cattle.
Oh,
yeah. But our snow doubled overnight. Winds are going to die at daybreak. Just there's your weather update for the day.
Well, we've got lovely, warm, sunny weather today. So you would say that that those cattle would only lightly thrive in, say, Texas or California or
Florida.
Florida, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mississippi, Alabama, which what I said where the Brahman cattle are.
So it's
Beefmaster.
It'll be coming.
Beefmaster was the breed. It just hit me. I couldn't come up with. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's quite possible it's coming over your border as we speak. They might be flying it in on one of those free jets that you can get into the US now that the Congress just passed in your 1.2 trillion bill.
I'm guessing what's going to happen is the cow will stay in Brazil and they will put her into an embryo transfer program, and they'll simply bring fertilized eggs into the United States. I'm guessing she won't come here. But again, I don't have enough details. That's what I predict will be happening. My research assistant today, Barbara. What? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Research assistant Barbara. Yeah, go on.
Yes. Thank you, Barbara. You know, we have these people that want to control our lives, like we talked about in Oregon, where they're doing all of these things to protect the environment and the water supply. are completely ignorant when it comes to the history of storms. We talk a lot about the hurricane of Galveston in 1900, which claims the lives of 10,000 people in 1900. But you would probably not know where the New Madrid fault is, do you, Andrew?
The New Madrid fault. Is that the New Madrid fault? Is it in the US?
Yeah, right. I call it a Madrid fault. And now I'm
so what
getting,
is that? What are we talking about?
It's an underground fault that is we are been told since I grew up nearly just right on the New Madrid fault, but it was just south of me, and it runs basically from St. Louis. It comes up into Illinois farther, runs down through the Boot Hill of Missouri. Well, from mid-December of 1811 through mid-January of 1812, there were 6,000 recorded earthquakes in this region of the Boot Hill of Missouri. The first one was on December.
It's a fault. It's a fault, not a vault.
Fault. F-A-U-L-T. Fault.
Yeah. Okay. Fault.
So
yeah, okay. Go on. Now I understand. Yeah.
The first one was, I believe, December 17th, 1811, and they reported that at the onset of this earthquake, the bending trees were breaking or were intertwining with one another because of the force of the whatever the earth was doing, upheaval. The cracks were monstrous, and there were chimneys falling off of houses as far away as Cincinnati, Ohio, which, without looking it up, that's probably 500 miles.
Goodness me. Wow. How often does these
there. Thank you, Luke. Luke has a pictorial look at where the New Madrid fault is at. That's the fault line. And they're predicting, much like the atmospheric river, and have been predicting now for 20 years, that this thing is going to blow again. And it will create much more destruction because in 1811, that was not a tremendously populated area. They were talking about, and this is all on the new, you can find all of this New Madrid history on the New Madrid website, talking about the history of that region. But they were talking about just simply the lack of population is what prevented more lives being lost than it was. But can you imagine in 1811, all of a sudden the earth is just doing all these things? The trees are bending to the point where they're intertwining with one another. What would you be thinking? The end of the earth is coming.
Yeah, you would. Although, you know, there's been places all over the world that have been. You've got your San Andreas fault in California. You've got lots of places where those.
I'm glad you brought that up. The San Andreas fault in California went off in 1908, and this earthquake in 1811 was 10 times the magnitude of that earthquake in California.
Wow.
Point is, climate is a ruthless thing, and if we think we can legislate climate smart activities, you're stupid. I wasn't talking to you, Andrew. I was talking to people who believe they can do that.
No, I agree with you. I think people are stupid, and there will always be acts of God, as they call them, where something is going to happen weather-wise, which will shock the world. And you know, we've seen them. I've been on this planet 59 years. I've seen a few of them, and I'd like to think I'll see a few more. But it does happen spasmodically across the world. It's a fact, especially around the Caribbean. I mean, look at you get lots of weather events around there for some unknown reason. That's where it happens. But there you go. So, have you told your mum to move house from Quincy, Illinois, then, and just make sure
many times
move somewhere safe?
Yeah, I've told her to move to Nebraska many times, but she's still there where she's been her whole life.
Well, she might be nearer to you than you think, Sim. If you're right. But there you go.
She's got other earthquakes because she has to deal with lawmakers and policymakers of the state of Illinois. That's an earthquake in itself, and it happens every year, not every 200 years.
Okay. No, I get your message there.
Yeah.
We can't end without asking you, was this ship that brought the bridge down overnight in Baltimore the bridge that's built by the guy that wrote or named after the guy that wrote the Star Spangled Banner. Do you think there's a coincidence, or do you think it's just a very unfortunate accident? What do you think?
There seems to be a lot of very unfortunate accidents these days. Francis Scott Key, not excluded.
I'm not laughing at it because I'm not laughing because I can understand. I can tell that the terror that those people. I believe there were 7 cars on that bridge. I don't know how many of those people survived, but I cannot believe what I saw with my own eyes this morning, because I just can't believe that boat didn't have a pilot and he hit the stanchion head on, didn't he?
I actually saw the headline, didn't go read the story because I was engrossed in what was happening in New Madrid.
Well, seriously, Trent, you should watch that because it does look very, very suspect. I mean, the guy hit the exact part of the bridge which is going to take the whole lot down, and it did. It's as simple as that. It's
right
planned.
there.
Yeah.
I was in Frederick, Maryland, where Francis Scott Key was, and wrote that little poem that turned into the national anthem in September. And I crossed that very bridge. We got to roll. I'm sure you could buy a Nelore embryo before the end of the day, Andrew. I'll find out who bought that Nelore cow, and you can purchase a $100,000 embryo and have your own Nelore there in Cheshire, England. For Andrew Henderson.
If that stops you getting the hook,
regaining control for the farmer. One hump at a time. See you tomorrow.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
People get sick for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO, number 2, letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
Open Range is going to be like a digital magazine, I call it. We're going to be looking at a variety of subjects from agriculture, energy, sports, art, politics, of course, and we will be talking about a lot of subjects, having a lot of guests on, and I'm going to have a variety of co-hosts. One of them is Memo Barreto, Gail Wetzel, Gene Grainer, Dustin Goverlau, and Daryl Lease. Welcome to Open Range, weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.